Hi, my name is Ryan Tongs. I'm an executive director with Experior Financial Group, as well as the team lead for the Rainmaker Leadership Alliance. Now today what I'd like to do is just give you a little bit of insight as to how we actually serve families and how it might be of benefit to you. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Experior. Experior is something called an MGA, which is a managing general agency. And what that means is that they provide us a platform as independent advisors to be able to serve our clients without the corporate biases or the product biases presented by many other opportunities in the financial industry. Now, Experior is a Canadian-born company, started in Guelph, Ontario in 2014, and is now the fastest growing MGA in Canada. An interesting fact about Experior is they're also the first MGA to ever expand out of Canada into the US. And in our industry, it's usually a US organization that actually expands into Canada. So we're pretty proud of that. The mission of Experior Financial Group is building financial foundations for families to empower them today and leave a legacy for tomorrow. We all know people that are successful financially. We also know people that are unsuccessful financially. We know people that are struggling. We know people that are getting buried in debt. We know people that aren't saving. We know people that are saving. So what is the difference between them? Quite often, it comes down to how the interaction with the financial industry is actually occurring. Most of us are doing it based on a transactional basis where we walk into an institution, we buy a product, maybe to buy a home, or we take a loan to do something, or we buy insurance thinking that's what we need, but there's no congruency in what we're trying to accomplish with what that product will do. So rather than being transactional basis, what we do is we take a congruent, informational-based strategy. The first thing we do is we inform and help people understand the 4 fundamentals of being financially successful. The second thing we do, we make sure that it is congruent and in line with their values. And when you do that, you can have a financial plan that will allow you to reach the goals and dreams that actually matter to you faster and predictably. The thing about a financial strategy is not about doing things, it's about doing intentional things properly. So the first thing to understand about the 4 fundamentals is actually cash flow. You cannot become financially successful if you spend everything that you make. But the second part of it is, how do you increase your cash flow? There's only 2 ways to increase your cash flow. You can either decrease your expenses or you can increase your income. And there are ways of actually increasing your income or decreasing expenses that, quite frankly, most people are actually not even aware of. One of the most simplest ways is how we take debt. If we take debt differently and we do it with intention and understanding, we can actually end up with more money in our pocket. Number 2 is proper protection. When most people think of proper protection, they always think about insurance. But proper protection means protecting yourself against a loss of income, protecting yourself against a job loss, protecting yourself against investment losses. There's a lot of things that come into proper protection. And everybody's a little bit different stage of life. Depending on the stage of life, determines what kind of protection is actually needed. Thirdly is the time value of money, the power of compound interest. Our industry is very good about sharing with people about how compound interest can work in our favor. But the fact is, compound interest can either be our best friend or our worst enemy. And we need to understand it completely to understand what the impact of compound interest is having on us long term. The rule of 72 states that if you take the rate of return your money is growing at, it'll tell you how long it takes money to double. What they don't tell you, though, is it actually works against you the same way. So if you're growing your money on one side and you have debt on another side, you could actually be going the wrong direction. The 4th fundamental that is important to understand is actually taxation. Taxation comes in many forms, and we're usually told that we're only supposed to deal with it once a year. But there are things that we need to take into account that will affect how much tax we pay now as well as in the future. There's 2 types of taxes. There are taxes that you can control, and there's taxes that you choose to be involved in. And what most people don't understand, they hear all of these things about an RRSP or a tax-free savings account or life insurance or all of these different things. And the fact is, they're not products. They're told that you can buy an RSP, but it's actually not a product. It's a tax strategy. And when you use these tax strategies properly, you can always use them in your advantage. And that's what a proper plan does. But the most important thing to the whole thing is your values. We've been taught that the industry is 100% math. That's the farthest thing from the truth. The people that are most successful financially are clear on what it is that they want, but they're also clear on what it is or why they want it. Roy Disney made a quote that I live by. When your values are clear, your decisions are easy. And the thing about the financial services industry is they've made it so much about math that it gets very, very confusing. So the first thing you got to do is you got to get clear on your values. And when you really understand that, you'll understand that proper financial success or financial stability, or however you want to look at it, is 95% values, 5% math. So how do we do this? We believe in a respectful, no pressure approach. The first thing we do is when we sit down with somebody is we find out what it is that you want. But more importantly, why do you want it? Because if we can get clear on that, then we're able to actually put some things in place. We gather some information, and then what we do is we come back, we do something called an expert financial analysis. So we come together as a team where we work as a collective to actually be able to provide the best insight for everybody, which includes decades of experience. So we're able to work as a collective to find the best solutions that are based on the values on what we're trying to accomplish. This is where we put the math behind the values. Then when we come together with you, we make some recommendations. Now, when we make those recommendations, we will have already shopped the market to find the product or solution that will be able to support your values. And this is where we explain to you not only what the product is, but how it supports what it is that you're trying to accomplish. It's not just a product. It's a solution to help you reach your personal goals and dreams, or your family's goals and dreams. Then, if you accept our recommendations, then we have a relationship. We don't want to just do a one transaction type of situation. Like anything else, proper planning requires review, requires change, requires modification. But you can't do that without a relationship. And that's the challenge with transactional-based type of advice. If things change, you can't change it that easy. So being more prepared up front allows you to have a more successful financial plan going forward. Now, here's the cool thing. We actually don't charge for this. We do this portion of what we do complimentary. Now, like I said, we've already shopped the market, so we can identify what product will be able to provide that. Now, when we do that, we actually charge them if that product is implemented. So we are able to do this complimentary for the families that we serve. So one of the things that is unique about us is that we do this for everybody. We see people as people. We don't see people as paychecks. So it doesn't matter what your net worth is. It doesn't matter what your gender is. It doesn't matter your marital status. None of those things matter. What matters is somebody that wants to get ahead. They're clear on their values. We want to be able to help them achieve those kind of things. And we want to be part of it long term. See, what we want to do is we want to build relationships. We don't want to do transactions. And this is why Experior itself is actually different by design in its ability to allow us to be able to do what we do. But as a team, we're different by choice. Through our relationship with Experior Financial Group and the product partners and industry professionals that we have access to, we're able to serve everything from business owners to individuals to different age demographics. We're able to help with debt restructuring. We're able to help with how to take financing. We're able to help with all different types of protection and investments and all those kind of things. And the reason why we're not giving you a whole list of everything that we do is because everybody is an individual and everybody deserves to be treated as an individual, not just a number. And that's what we want to be doing differently. So whether you're just getting started on your financial road or you've been doing it for a while, whether you are where you intended to be or you're kind of falling short, or you're going through a transition, especially during the times that we're in right now, there's a lot of transition that's happening. There's a lot of change. And as things change, sometimes it's a very simple thing as just having a conversation to find out whether or not things can just be a little bit better. Things can just be a little bit easier. Or wouldn't it be kind of fun to find out that things aren't quite as bad as you feel? So sometimes we can make a massive difference. Sometimes we make a small difference. But either way, we will always do our best to make a difference. And sometimes that difference is just knowing that you're on the right track. I actually got started in this industry because of a job transition. I know what it's like, and many of us do. And I got to tell you, it was actually a conversation like the one that we're offering you, which actually changed everything about my financial situation that actually helped me get through that. See, we want the best for you, and we know that you want the best for yourselves. So why don't we work together to figure out what that best is?